All right, welcome to the October 15th version of the Brigade meeting, the Stabilization Brigade meeting. This meeting is recorded and it will be posted online along with the minutes. If you could register your attendance to the meeting with the @ here in the chat, that would be appreciated. We do use the chat to capture notes, so you'll see @topic for topic changes and @item to add items in the minutes. Please feel free to add minute items yourself as you go along. It's not only helpful, it would be, I don't know, fun. Anyway, saw a couple comments early on before I started the recording about the calendar invite. I was informed last night, thanks to Scott, that it was somehow removed from the calendar, from the cord calendar. Contacted Zach. Luckily, he's a couple time zones ahead of us today, and he was able to get it back on the calendar before the actual meeting started. But I suspect because it was removed from the cord calendar for a bit and then put back on, if you're having trouble, or if it got removed from your Outlook calendar, that's probably why, depending on how you're inputting your calendar. Hopefully it's back by now. If not, let me know if you need something on our end, and we'll figure that out. All right. Today's agenda, we have 3 items. One is hopefully pretty quick meeting. We'll talk about branching, which we'll hear more about in the Volta meetings this morning as well. Continue some discussion about moving from GoDep to GoMod, and then we'll hit the review board and talk about any issues that need to be talked about. Is there anything else anybody would like to add to the agenda before we start? All right. Go ahead.
Perhaps just a mention of the efforts to disaggregate the repository, and that people should be aware that that's been going on. That, for example, VoltaGo has been broken up into pieces and will be broken up into more pieces.
All right. It is on the agenda now. Spelled incorrectly, but it's on the agenda. All right. Anything else? All right. Branching changes. Okay. I will just briefly mention it here, and if you attend the next meeting, the Volta meeting, you'll hear more about it. Basically, what we're looking to do is collapse some of the branches. Collapse is probably the wrong word. Basically, move development to the master branch and not worry so much about cherry picking to the 2 branch. The thought being right now that the branches are essentially identical. When there becomes a need to branch, we can branch, but we don't need to cherry pick for the fun of it. So if there comes a point when we get a new feature, and because of that new feature it is deemed critical to branch, we will. But when we do get a new feature, we may not at the same time. My thought process behind this, and there was some discussion in the group of 5, my thought process was essentially that because we are focusing on a release with new features, testing of that branch that has the new features is important. There is some thought that once new features get in, there may be a need for branching, but we're kind of doing a wait and see model on that. So after the Volta meeting today, for those repositories that have 2 branches, development will continue on the master branch, and we're not going to worry about cherry picking to 2.1. And if an individual or company wants to cherry pick to 2.1, they're of course welcome to. It's just not going to be official policy anymore, and hopefully that will make our lives a little easier. Any questions about that? Just filling out the minutes. We'll continue on master. All right. May branch later if required. All right, moving on to Repository disaggregation. As Scott mentioned, Scott has been diligently working on splitting up repositories, in particular Volt2Go has been disaggregated, and they've been pulled out into multiple repositories such as the Volta API server, the Volta simulated adapter. Were there other ones that pull out yet, Scott?
The two PonSim ones are currently in patches awaiting review, so those I would assume will be imminently merged and pulled out. The other thing, that I wanted to make sure people were aware of was our plan to move the library code out into a separate repository, because that'll probably be the next one that I would tackle on the list. And that would be everything in I don't have a list of the directories, but mostly everything in the Volta Go common directory. So stuff like the logger. It'll be a little bit disruptive because a lot of things depend on that code. So we'll have to move it out and then update everyone who is consuming that code to point to the new code, and then remove it from the old Volta Go repo. So I just want to let people know that's coming. And of course, give people the opportunity to voice concerns if there are any.
Okay, thank you. Any concerns? Any questions on that? All right. I think it's actually a good move. It's nice to have kind of one version file per repository. Lets the components actually evolve independently, which is another great thing. So this is good stuff. But it does, you now have to be a little bit more aware. You can't just go to one repository and find all the code. So it does add that. As Scott moved or created new repos for the components that were disaggregated and broken out, they only contained the master branch to begin with. So development of those branches has always been on master, or those repositories have always been on master. And I assume as he breaks out further repositories, they will also only have the master branch. So just let you guys know that. All right. Any other questions on that? If not, we'll move on. Okay, dep to mod. As you know, some of the repositories have been moving from GoDep to GoMod. This work has not yet been complete, as far as I know. I think I ran into at least the Volt2Go repository hasn't been changed yesterday as I was looking for coverage statistics, because you have to test a little differently in the repositories if they have GoDep versus GoMod, i.e. using the GoPath versus not GoPath. So that work's continued on. As I said, I think it's a Volt2Go one that at least it doesn't. If you have cycles, it'd be nice. That's a good Jira to pick up, moving that repository to GoDep as well. And there are examples how to do that now, so it should go a little more smoothly. Any other people having any problems with dep or mod or GoMod, I guess, at this point? Anybody have comments they want to bring up about that, or has that been going pretty smoothly? Or has it just been invisible? All right. We'll leave it at that then.
As part of a documentation update, it might be good to roll some of this in there. We kind of have some docs spread out all over the place that probably still refer to dep, and anybody new showing up, we'll probably try to run that.
Okay.
So it probably relates more to documentation, consolidation, and cleanup, but this is a good sticking point.
Yep. Nope. Absolutely. Thank you. Okay. All right. Yep. Cool. Okay. Rolling on then. Dashboard review. Just to go through the top level stats first, 93 open issues currently that are marked for the Stabilization Brigade to manage. And as you can see, I posted code coverage statistics for those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 repos. Basically, I can, as in my request for more and more tables, generating some table information around coverage. We are trying to go for a unit test code coverage of about 80% or more. As you can see, as you go through these different repositories and different packages within those repositories, we are far below that desired standard. So there are some JIRA unit tests or JIRA issues to cover unit testing, but please, as you go through and add code, please add some unit tests. Basically, this table has summarization for each repository, but you can see, probably a bad example is, the command files, the main files may not have unit test coverage in them. But the AF router package, for example, has only 37 coverage. As you go through here, you look further and further, there's 0% coverage in these various packages. There's some with a little more, some with much less. So this is something, flow decomposition, almost there. Something we need to work on, so please add more unit tests as you go through. If you don't have a JIRA item for them, just create the JIRA item and move on for it. And add it. All right. As I said, 93 open issues. When I sort that and remove the in progress label as well, then we're down to 57 issues that are open and not in progress. So we have this one, which is assigned. There are some that are assigned, and again, I'll remind people, if you have taken ownership of a JIRA issue, please, and you're working on it, please move it to in progress. If you're not working on it, and you don't see yourself working on it within, call it a day or two, you might want to remove your ownership just so someone else can pick it up. Trying to keep the list relatively fluid so that people can grab it and not necessarily people just reserve for some future work, unspecified timeline, to get work done. Anyway, so only 57 issues that are open and unclaimed. That's actually not too bad, and hopefully get that whittled down. And again, when we put back the in progress label, it goes up to about 93 when I did the last. Oh, it went up. It's now 100. Got some more bugs filled in. So as you go through and complete an item, please go through this list of the open JIRA items that haven't been owned yet. Try to take them from the highest priority, i.e. blocker, down based on what you think you can accomplish. Again, if you are not familiar with Valve Driver, it may not be where you want to play. But, hey, give it a shot. Can't hurt. It's only code. Other than that, you can see in terms of the chart, we are fixing issues consistently. And it looks like, at least in the past, a little bit here, we've fixed more than issues created, which is always a good sign. We got a little bump here. Still working to close that gap. Not closing very fast, I guess, I'll put it that way. In terms of the issues that are marked as needs attention, I think we went over these last week. Some of these are needing to be verified on the new BPSIM, and some of those are just longer-term issues. All right, any questions on the issues or any other questions about the dashboard or work that's ongoing? Okay. Wow, this is gonna be a short meeting today. And that's okay. Get people back to work, get people time back. If there's no other topics that people want to go dig into, we will let you all go back and you get 40 minutes of your time back. So last call. All right. Thank you all for attending, and I will see you on Slack.
Thanks, man.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.